Dust curled in the air like smoke as the noon sun blazed over Whisper Ridge, a hard-bitten frontier town clinging to the edge of nowhere. The whistle of the incoming train echoed off the dry cliffs, scattering a few prairie dogs and sending children running toward the platform. Among the gathering townsfolk, Calder Briggs stood alone, arms folded, hat tipped low to shade his scarred face. He was a tall, weathered cowboy with a past most folk politely didn't ask about. He hadn't smiled much since the war, and even less since he buried his younger brother out on the edge of his ranch. He wasn't here for pleasure. He was here to meet a woman, a mail-order bride, sight unseen. The town had whispered behind his back. Even old Calder must be getting lonely. But they didn't know the truth. He hadn't ordered the bride. His brother had, in secret, just before dying of fever. And Calder, well, he figured it was only right to fulfill the promise his brother never could. The train hissed to a stop. A few disheveled passengers stepped off, blinking into the sun. Then she appeared. Clara Monroe stepped down, clutching a fraying satchel, her spine straight despite the heaviness in her eyes. She wore a worn bonnet that failed to hide a faint scar down her right cheek. Folks had stared when she boarded the train in Kansas, and they stared now, too. Not because she was ugly, she wasn't, but because of the way she carried herself. Proud, haunted, like someone who'd fought hard and still bore the bruises. She locked eyes with Calder and offered a tentative nod. "You must be Mr. Briggs." He tipped his hat. "That I am. You Clara." "I am." Her voice held strength, though he saw the flicker of nerves beneath it. Calder offered his hand. She took it. He didn't say much as they loaded her bag onto his wagon, and she didn't press. But when they rode past the town's edge, silence stretching between them, Clara asked, "You don't talk much, do you?" "No use in wasting words," he replied. She looked out toward the dry hills. "Well, you'll be disappointed. I've got plenty to say." For the first time in years, Calder chuckled. Chapter 2, A House Half Built. Calder's ranch sat on parched land surrounded by broken fences and lonely hills. The house itself was large but unfinished, timber bones exposed, half-painted walls, a roof that still needed shingles. "I was building it for my brother," he said quietly as Clara stepped off the wagon. She turned to him, eyes soft. "I'm sorry." He nodded. "He sent for you. Not me, but you're here now. And I ain't the sort to send a woman away." "I'm not asking for pity, Mr. Briggs. I ain't offering any." That night, they ate beans and biscuits by lamplight. She washed her hands at the pump out back, wincing when water touched her scar. Calder noticed. He asked nothing. But later, as he laid out a bedroll on the porch, letting her have a bedroom, she stepped into the doorway. "I know you're wondering," she said. "Figured you'd tell me when you were ready." She looked into the stars. "My husband used to call me beautiful." Then he stopped. "One night, after drinking too much, he made sure I wouldn't be again." Calder's jaw clenched. "He's still brayer thin?" "No, I made sure of that." A silence passed between them, not of awkwardness, but recognition. Pain knew pain. "Get some rest," she said finally. "And thank you for not looking away." Chapter 3, Ghosts and Coyotes. Weeks passed. Clara worked like a woman possessed, tending the chickens, mending the roof, painting the porch. Calder watched her strength in quiet admiration. She never complained, never flinched from hard work, but she had ghosts in her eyes. One evening, while patching a saddle, Calder looked up and said, "You got grit, Clara. Ain't many would stay here." She gave him a tired smile. "Ain't many would let me." A moment passed. He cleared his throat. "Why do you always look away when I call you beautiful?" She stiffened. "Because I don't believe it." "You should." "No one else ever did," she whispered. "I ain't no one else." She looked at him, truly looked, The rugged lines of his face, the way one eye was slightly clouded from a wound, the calloused hands of a man who'd buried more than he cared to count. "You mean that?" she asked. He didn't answer with words, just held her gaze. Chapter 4. Danger rides at dusk. Peace never lasted long in the West. The trouble came with the McKenna Gang, a rough bunch of cattle thieves who roamed the territory like buzzards. They'd passed through town before, but now they were bolder, hungrier, and they wanted Calder's land. "You owe us, Briggs," sneered Clem McKenna, one evening when Calder rode into town for supplies. "Your brother shot one of ours last year. That makes your whole ranch fair pickings." Calder didn't blink. "Try me." Clem spat tobacco at his boots. "Don't matter if we try now or later. You and that woman out there alone? We'll come." The next morning, Calder packed a rifle and returned to the ranch, jaw set tight. "They'll come at night," he told Clara. "Then we'll be ready. You ain't got to stay." "You think I'd run now?" she snapped. "I lived through worse men than them." He paused. "You ain't just strong, Clara. You're something else entirely." That night, they sat on the porch with rifles across their laps. Coyotes howled in the distance. Clara turned to him. "If we live through this, will you still call me beautiful?" Calder looked at her, his voice low. "I'll call you that till my last breath." Chapter 5. Firelight and Fury. The gang came just before midnight, 5 riders cutting through the dark. Shots rang out. Calder returned fire, dropping one man before they reached the barn. Clara, steady, fearless, fired from the rooftop, hitting another in the leg. But they were outnumbered. A lantern was thrown. Flames caught fast on the dry wood of the barn. Smoke curled thick into the sky. "Back door!" Calder shouted, grabbing Clara's hand. They ducked into the root cellar as bullets hit the ground around them. She clung to him, heart pounding. "I'm not ready to die," she gasped. "You won't. Not tonight." Above, they heard hoofbeats retreating. Then silence. When they emerged, dawn was breaking, and the barn was gone, but the house stood. Calder looked at her, soot smudged across her face, eyes shining. "You're still here," he said. "So are you." And then, finally, they kissed beneath the smoke-stained sky, ash falling like snow. Chapter 6. Redemption Sunrise. Weeks later, the town heard what happened. The McKenna Gang never returned. 2 were buried, 1 lost a leg, and the others fled west. Calder's ranch, though burned, had become a symbol of resistance. Folks offered lumber, tools, even help raise a new barn. Clara stood at the center of it, hammer in hand, her once haunted eyes now clear. One evening, she sat beside Calder on the porch, watching the golden horizon. "You know," she said softly, "I spent years thinking no man would ever see me again. Not truly. Then you—" She paused. "Then you called me beautiful." He took her hand. "You always were. You just needed someone stubborn enough to say it till you believed it." Tears welled in her eyes, but she smiled through them. "Why do you call me beautiful, Cowboy?" He turned to her, voice thick with emotion. "Because when I look at you, Clara Monroe, I see every reason I stayed alive. You're the strongest, kindest, most stubbornly brave woman I ever met. You ain't just beautiful, you're everything."